Wes, what are your thoughts on pastors building churches as well as building and managing small businesses? What are some tips and things to consider? I'm not bothered at all if a pastor wants to be bivocational, okay? I do have a problem because I think it's a grace on some pastors to be bivocational that is not necessarily for everybody, okay? So some pastors can be pastors and they can also be business people. One thing that's interesting is there's a lot of the role of a senior pastor. Now remember, we're not talking about the gift of pastoring because that's not what we typically have as the pastor in our churches. We have more of a CEO who runs the organization. An apostle is more of the function of our pastors. Pastoring is one part, but we call it pastoring to run an entire church. But a lot of that role is actually quite entrepreneurial. You know, they've got to be running the finances, they've got to be running the marketing, they've got to be running team leadership and culture. So they're quite entrepreneurial by nature, even if it's not accepted that that's how you say it. But I still think that doesn't mean that you should go into business. Okay, if just because the role is a little bit entrepreneurial doesn't necessarily mean they should go and start a business, okay? So all over Australia and all over the world right now, there are pastors that should not be pastoring, right? Their gift is for business. And then there's business people who shouldn't be in business and they should be pastoring. So it's about working out what God's got for you, I think. But then I think there is an extra grace for somebody to be able to be pastoring or running a church and then out in the marketplace. I think it would be a mistake if you were pastoring a church and you were the only one on the senior team, because it's going to demand so much from you that you probably will do both bad. But if you can be a pastor of a church and you've put good people around you so that it doesn't require all of your time, then for sure go and repurpose some of your time in the marketplace. Even just if you looked at the economics of it all, there is, with the donor-based system of giving that we have within church, that's getting harder and harder and harder. So I think one of the greatest things, if to build vision in your congregation is to say, I'm making money out here, therefore I don't need to make it in here, therefore I'm going to seed it into the community and we're going to do good work, whatever. They're all kind of tactics. Do I even think it's a good idea? Yes, I think it's fine that a pastor would be a business person, but not if it stretches you to the point where you're not pastoring well and you're not doing business well. You've got to build the infrastructure around you to have the team to help you, to free you up to go into the marketplace. And the cool thing that's going to happen there, for a bivocational minister who's in business and ministry, and we all are, but vocational going across both, they're going to be rubbing shoulders with the people in the world who are going to find out they're a pastor, and it's going to fry their noodle. Like, why are you running a business? You're a pastor. And I thought pastors shouldn't, and it would be a great opportunity to be a witness to those people in their world. So I like it from that point of view. And then they won't feel, the other thing is they won't be so boxed in. One of the things that can happen to some pastors, especially if they've had a long tenure in full-time ministry, vocational ministry, is they can feel a little bit fearful of the marketplace because they haven't been in it for so long. Whereas anybody that's bivocational, because they're going to be dancing between those two worlds, there's a lot of crossover, so they'll be learning from one and drawing to the other. So summary, I guess, rambling as I'm processing your question, I think it's fine. But I do think that you would want to make sure that there's a grace on you to do that and the team are around you to do it well. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting it wrong.